All right, Brasta Yahweh, Brasta Shai, Kala Yahweh, Bashal Shai, Bashal Kakadash. Give honor to the elder apostle, great minister, who will. Since salutation and honor put to the truth across the four corners of the earth. The spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashal Shai, the hope will let. The word instantly called God in Yahweh. The word instantly called Jesus Christ, named Yahweh Shai. The Hebrew Israelite that consisted of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and those in line of descendants go back from to the tribe of Israel to be just scattered amongst the nations. This is Mahari Call from the Great Millstone, Los Angeles camp, back from the leftists, and I will now rise to Allah will and be edifying to the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash, which is the Holy Spirit. I have an article on Rolling Stone. ICE raid aren't just a Latino issue. Black community are also at risk, right? Because most of y'all are Israel, all right? So-called Latinos and so-called black are children of Israel, all right? And that's why they're coming down hard on both of y'all. All right, we've been saying it's not going to just be with the so-called Latinos. All right, it's all to come after the so-called black. And lo and behold, here we are. Okay. Jeremiah 50 and 33, thus saith the Lord Yahweh by Shai host the children of Israel. All right, with the Northern Kingdom, all right, some call Latinos, the Native Americans, all right, and the children of Judah, all right, the Southern Kingdom, all right, so-called Caribbeans, all right, Haitians, and so-called African Americans, Negroes, were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. Alright? The main part is oppressed together right here in the land of America. Alright? That's why he's coming out of that great wrath. Okay. Galatians 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell therein, dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, and of the deep of the devil, that come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time. Alright? And that's why things are escalating the way they are. Alright? But he knows he gotta make a move on the children of Israel. Alright? And on February 18th, 2 weeks after having her son via C-section, Monique Rodriguez was battling postpartum depression. The black mother of two who were born and raised in state cancer in Paris and Jamaica had come to the U.S. in 2022 on a 6-month visa instead of Florida with her husband. But after finding herself alone and overwhelmed for the lack of support, she borrowed. My husband is American and a first-time dad and was scared of hurting the baby. He kept pushing the baby off on me, which I didn't like. I was in pain, and I was tired and overwhelmed. I got frustrated and I hit my husband, she said. A family member called the police, resulting in Rodriguez's arrest. Suddenly, a private domestic dispute led to more serious consequences. When Rodriguez's husband arrived to bail her out the following day, ICE was waiting to detain her. Despite being married, and having a pending green card application. She became one of 1,000 immigrants deported this year because of contact with police. Alright, so they don't even care what your status is. And it was ruled by the Supreme Court that Trump could deport legal citizens. Alright? And they can deport you to any country. Alright? Since Donald Trump took office for the second time, ICE has been raiding the immigrant community across the nation. Prior to the wave, black immigrants like Rodriguez have historically been targeted at a higher rate due to systemic racism, with a host of complications, including anti-blackness and colorism in the Latino community, which often leave black immigrants out of conversations around protest and solidarity. The future is bleak, and black immigrant and immigration attorneys are predicting a trickle-down effect to black community in America, making them vulnerable even more. On June 6th, protests broke out in Los Angeles, whose population is roughly half Hispanic, and 1 in 5 residents live with an undocumented person. On TikTok, Latino creator and activist call on black creator and community members to protest and stand in solidarity, but to their disappointment, many black Americans remain silent, some even voicing that the current deportations were not their fight. Latino has been completely silent when black people are getting deported by ICE, say Alexander Duncan, an LA resident, who made a viral TikTok on the subject. All of a sudden, it impacts them and they want black people to the front line. Prejudice has a long disconnected black and Latino community, but the blatant dismissal of ICE raid as a Latino issue is all base. Yeah, because especially out here in Southern California, the so-called Latinos look down on the so-called black out here. So that's one of the main reasons why they wasn't picking up. But some black Americans are reluctant to they don't even realize that they're the same people. Alright, but that's the curses. Alright, I shall be evil toward your brother. Alright, Deuteronomy. But some black Americans are reluctant to put their body on the line isn't out of apathy but self-preservation. Duncan, who moved from New York City to a predominantly Mexican neighborhood in LA, was surprised to find the city of Angel segregated. One of my neighbors who had done microaggressions was like, I haven't seen you go to the protest. He told Rolling Stone, I said, bro, you haven't spoken to me in 6 months. Why would you think I'm going to the front line for you and you're not even a good neighbor? They look down on so-called black. Following the 2024 election, many black Democratic voters disengaged. Nationally, the Latino community support for Trump doubled from 2016, when he first won the presidency, despite notable increases of support for Trump across all marginalized demographics. Latino Republican voters set a new record. Anti-blackness a huge sentiment in the Latino community, say Cesar Flores, an activist and law student in Miami who also spoke on the matter via TikTok. I've seen a lot of Latinos complain that they aren't receiving support from the black community, but 70% of the people in Miami are Latinos or foreign-born, and 55% voted for Trump. Although 51% of the Latino community voted for Kamala Harris, overall, black folk had the highest voting percentage for Democratic ballot at 83%. For people like Duncan, the 48% of Latinos who voted for Trump did so against both the Latino and black community interests. The black community feel betrayed, states Flores. It's a common misconception that deportation and raid only affect Latinos, but black folks are impacted even more negatively by the immigration system. Yeah, especially Judah, the head tribe. We're gonna get into worse. The devastation that deportation causes cannot be overstated. When ICE detained Rodriguez in February, week after filing her green card application, there was no consideration that she just given birth to 2 weeks prior. I was just taken away from the child. I was leaking breast milk all over. I was still bleeding because I had a baby and was on medication, but I didn't get those back. Rodriguez thought her situation was unique until she was transported to the Louisiana detention center and met other detained mothers. I was probably the only one that had a newborn, but there were women there that were ripped away from babies, 3 months to 14-year-old. They would argue, hey, you know, the devil, all right? He thought you don't give a damn, okay? Let's see. Uh, 36% of black migrants are deported because of contact with police and have been in the country for a long time. They Nana Giants, an immigration attorney and an executive director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. A 2021 report from the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants found that while only 7% of the immigrant population is black immigrants make up 20% of those facing deportation for criminal convictions, including low-level nonviolent offenses. They GIFs were Jamaican is 98% higher. People talk about the Chinese Exclusion Act, but I recently learned that the first people excluded from this country were Haitians. On June 27, the Trump administration announced the removal of temporary protected status for Haitians starting in September, putting thousands of migrants in jeopardy given Haiti's political climate. Though a judge ruled it unconstitutional, the threat to black migrants remains. You have black U.S. citizens being grabbed by ICE and held for days because they are racially profiling. They giants. Refers to folks like Thomas and Peter Sean Brown, who were wrongfully detained in Florida and almost deported to Jamaica, despite having proof of citizenship. Black people are being told their real ID are not real, with much of the coverage concerning the ICE raid being based around Latino immigrants. Some feel disconnected from the issue, often forgetting that 12% of Latinos are black in the United States. A lot of the conversation is ICE isn't looking for black people. They're looking for Hispanics. Aneka Cheese, a black Panamanian TikTok creator, said to her 1.7 million followers. But it is not just Mexican people that are people they are looking for. It's all immigrants that are obviously not white. Right, because it's children of Islam. A lot of times, as black Americans, we don't realize that people may be Caribbean or West Africans. She told Rolling Stone her family moved to the U.S. in the 1980s after her grandfather worked in the American zone of the Panama Canal and was awarded a visa for him and his family. If I didn't tell you I was Panamanian, you could assume I was any other ethnicity. In the media, they depict immigration one way. But I wanted to give a different perspective as somebody who is visibly black. American racism is partly to blame. Los Angeles has the largest number of legions in the United States, but people don't know because they get mixed with African Americans. They geographies. Black immigrants are in a invisibilized world. The people, because the people bring immigrant or non-black Latinos. That's pretty much it. You know, pretty long article, but you get the gist. You know, they're pressed together and it comes down with that great rap. All right, that's why you start eating with moving on you, Jake. All right, that's that. So.